Hey YouTube, it's your girl Stacy and welcome to A Pinch of This and That, where today we will be making some curry chicken. I'm so excited to get started on this video, so let's go. So these are the ingredients that we will be using. I'm going to start with explaining the chicken process. So I have 2 whole halal chickens that I will be dicing up. As you see here, I took the skin off because I'm not crazy about the skin. I'm going to throw it away. You'll see it over there. Not going to use it. However, I did hang on to the bones because, you know, those bones can be used to make a nice chicken broth. And that's what I will be doing with it after. So I'm going to clean the chicken with some lemon and some water. I'm going to do that twice. Make sure I clean that thoroughly. All right, so let's begin seasoning up this chicken. I have some shadow benny here, which is, I want to say like the Caribbean cilantro, but with a different kick to it. And I just go ahead with the scissors and cut up a few leaves. I did have to freeze it because it's not very often that you get to find it. So I bought so many and I froze a lot of it. It defrosts quickly and you can definitely cut it up while it is frozen. And we're going to go ahead now and start with cutting up our fresh ingredients, which are my staples. As you already know, we're going to go in with some of the onions and some red and green pepper, as well as some garlic, some ginger, and of course, you know, I got my good old Scotch bonnet and some green onion that I will be throwing in there as well. There's the infamous Scotch bonnet, as well as 2 bay leaves that I'm going to add to this as well. It's a part of the dry ingredients, but I do add it in. At any point, it's okay when you put it in, as long as you put those bay leaves in there. Now that we have everything chopped up, we can add that to the bowl of our nicely cleaned and chopped up whole chickens, and we're going to mix and toss everything together, making sure to have the fresh ingredients and the chicken marry together as per usual. And there it is. And now we can move on to the next step, adding our spices. All right, so here we got me going with some of the brown sugar. Yes, I add brown sugar to my curry. Judge me if you want, it's all good. I'm gonna go in with some all-purpose seasoning, as well as some chicken base, some salt and pepper. I'm also gonna go in with some thyme, some garlic powder. I have my pimento seeds, as you see here. I was struggling a little bit with getting them out, well, the amount that I wanted out. I love my pimento seeds. Some people don't, and if you don't like it, you can always go with a powdered allspice, but be careful, don't put heaping amounts of it. Start with a tablespoon and then gradually add to your liking. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some pepper and some salt, and I'm also going to add some powdered ginger along with the garlic powder. And as you know, I gotta hit that with the green seasoning. The recipe is up on my channel, so if you need to figure out how to get this luscious green goodness into your food, by all means, check out that video. So I'm going to go ahead and add a heaping amount of curry powder to this and some cooking oil. As you know, I love how the oil helps the seasonings to adhere to the meat. And you're just going to go ahead and toss it and set that aside. The minimum amount of time that you want for this to marinate, I will say, would be 4 hours, but ideally it's good to let this sit overnight. Now, you know, I'm big on keeping the hands clean and keeping the workspace clean, so be sure to wash your hands and before you move on to the next step. Okay, so let's start making this chicken. I added some oil to my pot as well as some curry powder, and I'm going to toast that off prior to adding in my chicken pieces to the pan so that I can brown them. Now, when I say brown them, I don't necessarily need for them to be actually brown, because I do actually cook them off for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side and then set them aside and continue this step once all the pieces have been quote unquote browned into this pot. So we're going to carry on with browning the pieces. As I said, you're going to brown them for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Sometimes I'll go as much as 4 minutes, depending on the piece of chicken. For example, drumsticks, I will definitely allow for them to cook a little bit longer, or should I say brown a bit longer, since they always take the longest to cook in any cooking situation, I find. Once the chicken has reached the desired color that I want, but I don't want it to be like cooked through. Like I said, I let it brown 2 to 3 minutes on each side. I'll set the browned pieces aside and go ahead and add. And you're going to repeat this step obviously with all of the chicken pieces that you have. Then you'll be able to move on to the next step after this. So now that I'm down to the last batch of browning chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and scrape what's at the bottom of the pan, and I'm gonna set that aside because I love all of that. As you already know from previous videos, I love all of that accumulates on the bottom because it does give great flavor. So I'm down to the last few pieces of browning the chicken, to be browned, and I added a little bit more oil because obviously it was absorbed in the chicken, as well as the curry powder that I had scraped off the bottom of my pan. And I'm gonna go ahead and just finish up what I have left prior to adding the other pre-cooked pieces. Well, the browned pieces, they're not cooked. So the pre-browned pieces into the pan with the rest of the meat. So as you see now, all the pieces have been browned. I'm going to go ahead and add them back into the pot, and I'm going to toss it up for a little bit before adding in my water. So once I have all the pieces inside, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the juices. You see the Ziploc bag, I just poured it into the bowl, and I'm going to add that to my brand new pot that I'm just really excited about. It came with these little handles, and I was like, what are these? Until I tried to touch the pot and I nearly burned off my fingers. So I love this new pot, but damn. Let's carry on. So I went ahead and added the rest of the juices to the pot, as well as some of my boiled water that from the kettle. I love to use the boiled water because it does speed up the process of getting it to begin to stew down. Lord, every time I make a video, I just get tongue-tied. I don't edit it out because this is the reality of making these videos, but I digress. Let us carry on. So I got my new pot. I'm excited and I'm happy to use it. And while it's stewing down in the new pot, yes, I said new pot several times, I'm gonna go ahead and add some powdered coconut milk, as well as some chicken base with some hot water. And I'm going to add that to the boiled mixture. Now, I didn't realize I didn't have any canned coconut milk. Thank goodness I bought this extra coconut powder that I just was like, it'll come in handy. Well, true indeed, it sure did. So you see, I'm gonna go ahead and add that to that mixture. Oh God, it smells nice already. I didn't even add the coconut milk yet, and it already smelling nice. But that coconut milk is essential. When I tell you essential to making this curry chicken, do not leave that step out. Now, after about 30 minutes, I went ahead and added some curry powder to this party. I went ahead and added a bit more black pepper. As you know, I was tasting. I tasted and I realized it's missing a few things. So I went ahead, like I said, with the curry powder, some salt and some pepper. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of the brown into it. Just because, you know, it just creates a nice color and some good flavoring in there. You don't have to be heavy-handed with it. Just put enough in there so it gives it a good kick. We're gonna go ahead and add a pinch more of that brown sugar to balance out the flavors. Not many people put that in there, but this is how I make mine, and this is how I prepared it. It's just the way I make my curry. So now after about 20 minutes, I went ahead and added another 2 tablespoons of chicken base to this mix. I also added some more of my green seasoning to the pot. Now, again, I've been tasting as I've been cooking. And now that it's cooked enough with that hot pepper, I take the pepper out and I go right ahead and replace it with a fresh one. Because you don't want the old one to burst, but you still want to carry through the nice Scotch bonnet flavors that will, you know, be in the background and give hints of heat, but not too much. And you know, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I'm completely obsessed with Scotch bonnet peppers, honest to God. So after it cooked for about 10 minutes, I go ahead and add my peeled and diced potatoes, and I wait until about the last 15 minutes of cooking to add them, because I didn't dice them, I didn't cut them up so big, so I know they'll cook quickly, but I also want them to cook enough where I can get to mash a little bit of them in there to thicken up the sauce. And one of my favorite things to do when stewing chicken, oxtail, goat is to go ahead and add some onion towards the end along with the potatoes. For some reason, it just gives it this special added, needed love to this dish. You're just gonna mix everything up together, and you're gonna let that cook down for about 15 minutes, maybe 20, depending on how you feel your sauce is tasting. But after 15 minutes, I do go ahead and mash down some of the potatoes in there to thicken up the sauce some, and let that sit for about a good 30 minutes before plating. And before I do get to plating, and while the potatoes are cooking and the curry is finishing up, I fried some plantains, because you know we need some plantain with the dish. And here you go. Here it is. I had also made some rice and peas, and along with the curry chicken and the plantains. And I'm just really grateful that it all came out well. Now, this is the first time I've cooked a dish and I ate immediately after, because as I was tasting, I was like, oh God, this is so good. And I'm grateful that it came out the way that it did, because I had the pleasure of making this curry chicken dish for the one and only Kelly Roland, who I got to work alongside with on the Relationship Goals movie, along with Method Man, aka Cliff. And when I tell you, feeding her and Cliff and the crew in the trailer and the other cast members was such a blessing for me, and I'm just really happy that it all came out well. And so there it is.
Shoot! Thank you! But look, you go, wait till you see this. Look at it, look how much is in there. It has enough curry chicken to go around. You got your excavation, you can eat as much as you want, because Javi ain't here to talk about the onions.
Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Thank you to my subscribers, to my viewers, to my new subscribers and new viewers. I see y'all. Thank you so much. And remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Have a wonderful day.